I never believed my attic could hold anything more than forgotten furniture and boxes of winter clothes. But that night, while chasing a faint scratching noise, I noticed one floorboard slightly warped, as if something had pressed against it from below. Curiosity won over hesitation. I pried the board up, and beneath the dust and splinters lay a wrapped bundle, thick fabric knotted tightly, stained dark with time. It was wedged between the beams, as though someone had hidden it there on purpose. Before I continue, please subscribe to the channel. This story will keep you on edge. The air felt heavier as I reached in, my flashlight trembling in my hand. When I finally pulled it free, the weight was startling, solid yet unyielding, as though I wasn't just lifting an object, but disturbing a memory buried in silence. The bundle felt damp against my palms, its fabric coarse and stiff, like it had been pressed into the wood for decades. My breath caught when I realized how deliberate it seemed, hidden beneath the floorboards, tucked away where no one would casually stumble upon it. Dust clung to my fingers as I turned it over, the knots biting into my skin when I tried to loosen them. The attic groaned with each gust of wind outside, the beams shifting ever so slightly, as though the house itself protested my curiosity. I wanted to set it down, to leave it where it had slept all these years, but I couldn't. There was something about its presence, not threatening, not yet, but weighty, like the silence before a storm. I sat on the cold planks, heart pounding, staring at the bundle, knowing once I opened it, there would be no going back. The first knot finally gave way with a brittle snap, releasing a musty odor that filled the attic. It was the smell of damp soil, of fabric left too long in the dark. I hesitated, my flashlight beam trembling over the bundle, as if afraid to reveal what lay inside. The second knot was tighter, cruelly cinched, and when I forced it loose, something inside shifted, a dull, muted thud that didn't sound like wood or stone. My chest tightened. For a moment, I thought I heard movement elsewhere in the attic, a faint scuff, like footsteps brushing against insulation. I froze, listening, but the silence returned, thick and oppressive. I turned back to the bundle, palms clammy, throat dry. Whatever rested inside wasn't meant to be found, yet here I was, dragging it back into the light. The final knot resisted, as though it knew its duty was to keep the contents hidden. I pulled harder, and with a sudden snap, the bundle sagged open. Layers of cloth unfurled, frayed and stained, releasing dust that shimmered in my flashlight's beam. Inside was not an object I could easily name, but a shape, angular, wrapped again in thinner fabric, as though someone had concealed it twice. My pulse roared in my ears. I brushed away more layers, fingers shaking, until something cold and metallic grazed my skin. The chill made me recoil, heart racing, breath sharp. I couldn't tell if it was fear or excitement that pushed me forward, but I knew I was crossing into territory no sane person would explore alone. The metallic surface was carved with faint etchings, symbols I didn't recognize, their edges worn smooth with time. I tilted it into the light, and shadows caught in the grooves, making them seem to move across the surface. My throat tightened as I realized the bundle wasn't just hidden. It had been sealed away, bound by hands that clearly wanted it forgotten. The attic seemed to press closer, the air colder, the silence sharper. My flashlight flickered once, then steadied. But in that brief darkness, I swore I felt someone standing behind me. I spun around, the beam slicing through boxes, insulation, rafters, empty, silent. My skin crawled, the weight of unseen eyes clinging to me as I turned back toward the strange etched object. I lifted it carefully, cradling it like something fragile, though its weight dragged at my arms. The cold seeped into my skin, crawling upward, numbing my fingers. I tried to make sense of its shape, rectangular, but not quite, edges jagged, broken. A piece of something larger? I thought of coffins, of relics, of artifacts left buried for good reason. The attic seemed darker now, the small window swallowed by night clouds. Every sound, the creak of rafters, the distant hum of the house, felt magnified, unnatural. My grip slipped slightly, and the object thudded against the floorboards with a sound that echoed deeper than it should have, like it had struck something hollow beneath us. That echo didn't fade the way normal sounds do. It lingered, a low vibration threading through the beams, humming faintly in the floor beneath my legs. I scrambled back, staring at the object, my breath shallow. The etchings seemed to shimmer, as if awakened by the impact. My mind screamed to put it back, to cover it, to forget. But another part, darker, hungrier, urged me to continue. I leaned closer, my flashlight grazing over the symbols. For a moment, they aligned into something almost legible, like a word on the edge of recognition. Then a sharp creak split the silence. My heart lurched. It wasn't the object. It came from the far corner of the attic, where shadows bled into one another. I swung the beam across, catching only shapes of stored boxes and an old chair draped in cobwebs. But the sound had been clear, undeniable. A footstep, heavy and deliberate. My pulse hammered in my ears as I whispered a shaky hello, hating how small my voice sounded in the vast dark. No answer. Only the faint whistle of wind slipping through the eaves. I forced myself to look away, back to the object, convincing myself it was just the house settling. Yet the air was too charged, too alive with something unseen. The bundle's fabric now lay scattered around me, and the object sat bare, exposed, humming faintly like a heartbeat I could almost feel in my chest. I didn't notice at first, but the dust on the floor around me had shifted. Tiny patterns trailed outward from the object, like ripples spreading in still water. I rubbed my eyes, certain it was a trick of the light, but the lines kept forming, delicate, branching, spider-like. My flashlight flickered again, and this time, I swore the attic shadows pulsed with it, expanding and retreating as though breathing. The urge to run battled the pull to stay, a war inside my chest. My lips moved without sound, a question I couldn't finish. What was this thing, and why had it been hidden here? My hands trembled, but I didn't set it down. Instead, I leaned in closer, desperate for answers I wasn't sure I wanted. The attic was no longer just wood and insulation. It felt alive, walls pressing inward, ceiling lower, air tighter. My skin prickled as though the entire space watched me, waiting. I wanted to leave. God, I wanted to. but the weight of the object in my hands was magnetic, impossible to release. I remembered my father once telling me never to ignore what houses try to hide. Back then, I thought he meant leaky pipes or bad wiring. Now, I wasn't so sure. The etched surface seemed warmer now, the hum stronger, like a voice muffled behind stone. And as the silence deepened, a thought pressed against my mind, unbidden but undeniable. You weren't the first to find this. I set the object down, its weight echoing in my bones, and stumbled back toward the attic stairs. My flashlight beam quivered across rafters and boxes, but I no longer cared to make sense of the shadows. The air was suffocating, charged with something that felt both ancient and aware. I couldn't shake the sense that opening the bundle hadn't just uncovered an object, but had awakened it. My hand clutched the attic doorframe, breath shallow, heart unsteady. I don't know what I brought back into the light that night, but I know it wasn't meant for me or anyone. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to the channel and tell me in the comments, what kind of stories would you like to see here next?